So, what do you say, Sasuke? Naruto asked again as he extended his right hand forward. Glaring at the blonde, Sasuke puffed his cheeks and walked away, intent on returning to his home and looking for Itachi. Confused by Sasuke's demeanor, Naruto shrugged his shoulders, looked to his left in the corner of the trees once and sunshine to his house. In the corner of the trees stood Itachi as he stared at the spot where Naruto and Sasuke once stood. You didn't have to turn out like this, foolish little brother. Flashback end. The entire Uchiha clan knew how gifted Naruto was and Sasuke envied him for that. Naruto was the youngest within the Uchiha clan to have a fully matured Sharingan. Sasuke, too, wished to be proficient enough to be noticed. To be something in his brother's eyes, for his father to be proud of him. He glared at Naruto for a few seconds and walked away without a word. Seeing as he did not have anything else to do, Naruto walked to his home so he could rest for tomorrow. Next morning. The following day Naruto woke up groggily to the ringing of his alarm. Last night after he got home, Naruto had a decent dinner with his father and went off to his room to immerse himself into his books till late night. Naruto had found a little interest in Fuinjutsu which led him to learning a bit on the rare shinobi art. He knew he couldn't hope to be as elegant as his father in the art, but he wished to be proficient enough in it. These were some of the recent interests which Naruto had delved into. He realized that being only strong was not good enough in the shinobi world. He was aware he was excessively strong. But if he wasn't smart enough to understand a situation he was in, where his power alone could not help him out, he would be as useless as a rookie, which ironically, he was, in terms of experience. Getting up from his bed, he walked to the washroom to fresh himself up. A half an hour later, Naruto exited, after having a bath. He was a little anxious about today. He did not have many friends of his own age group apart from Sakura and Hinata. He briefly wondered how the other children in his class would be. Deciding not to put too much thought into it right now, he dressed himself quickly and went downstairs to meet his father. He wore his usual gray t-shirt and black pants accompanied with his black gloves. He had decided to wear his maroon-colored kimono tied with a black sash around his waist today which had the Uchiha clan symbol at the back. Getting downstairs, Naruto saw his father sitting on the dining table going through a few papers. He had a cup beside him, which Naruto guessed was coffee. A smile formed on his face seeing his father so busy with his work. Even though he was the Hokage, he always found time for him and never made him feel alone. "Tu-chan. Hurry up. We have to go to the academy in a few minutes," Naruto said as he walked towards the table and sat beside his father. Minato smiled watching his son, dressed up for his first day at academy. He knew there wasn't anything much Naruto would learn which he doesn't already know. But that wasn't the main reason he wanted Naruto to join the academy. No matter how powerful one may be, life never feels complete if there's no one to share it with. Minato wanted him to get to know more people. To make friends. He wanted Naruto to feel that there are more people he could always rely on. "I know, Naru. We'll be going in a few minutes. Eat your breakfast and then we'll walk there," Minato said as he ruffled Naruto's hair playfully. Nodding his head happily, Naruto filled his bowl with some milk and cereal. Finishing it quickly, he had a banana and a glass of orange juice. He had learned to eat healthy for the past few years, although a few times a week he still went to his favorite ramen stand in Konoha, Ichiraku Ramen. He would never in his life give up ramen for anything. After the breakfast was done with, Naruto and Minato walked out of the Namikaze compound to go to the Konoha Academy. As Naruto and Minato headed to the academy, many people greeted their yandere and waved at young Naruto. The young blonde was surprised by the sudden change in people's behavior. Ever since he could remember, these very people glared at him and spoke behind his back. And now, the very same villagers smiled at him as if nothing had ever happened. He knew it was mainly because he had saved Hinata, the heiress of the Hyuga clan. But it still made him wonder at how shallow can people be. However, he also understood their feelings. their inner conflicts. To the civilians of Konohagakure, he is the living reminder of what they lost on that fateful night of the Kyuubi attack. The people did not hate him. They despised the Kyuubi for taking away their loved ones. But he wanted to change that. He wanted people to understand the Bijou. That they too are the victims here. The victims of the viscous cycle of hate and greed. Minato felt relieved that the people of Konoha had started to accept Naruto. He knew what Naruto did change him in some ways. There is no greater pain for a parent to watch their child suffer and be helpless about it. In a way, he was thankful to Inoki. He knew it was wrong for him to think that, but it made him glad to see the villagers finally viewing Naruto as a hero. Something which his son was meant to be. Both the Namikes were minutes away from the academy when an aged woman outside of a grocery store greeted Naruto with a warm smile. "Hello, Naruto-sama. It is good to see you this morning with Hokage-sama. Today's the day you're joining the academy, right?" she asked kindly. "You don't have to call me Naruto-sama. You are older than me and it wouldn't suit you well. Please call me Naruto." Naruto replied with a happy smile as the woman nodded. He could feel that the lady wished for him to do well and it elated him. "Hi. I will be joining the academy today. I am really excited," Naruto said with a big smile. Minato couldn't help but notice the bright smile that was etched on Naruto's face. "That's good to hear, Naruto-kun. Well, good luck and do your best. I will be rooting for you," said the woman as she waved goodbye with a smile. Naruto smiled and waved back as he held on to his father's hand and continued towards the academy. Things had definitely taken a turn for everyone within the village since the IWA incident. At the academy. Every shinobi village in the elemental nations houses an academy where young children are sent to prosper into shinobi. In the academy, the prospective students are taught the history of the shinobi world, the fundamentals of shinobi arts such taijutsu hand-to-hand combat dash, weapons handling kunai and shuriken throwing and rudimentary exercises to help control one's chakra. The teachers in the academy hold timely examinations to assess the students' progress and determine whether they are qualified to lead the life of a shinobi. The Konoha Academy is quite large and is comprised of several buildings which were erected over time since the reign of the Shodai Hokage. The building can be commonly identified by the tree which has a swing in front of it and more so by the giant sign with the kanji for fire on it. Along with being a school, the academy is also the area where the Hokage's office is located, which is where the missions are dispatched and the day-to-day running of the village takes place. Soon enough, Naruto and Minato reached the academy and Naruto was becoming anxious each passing second, wondering if Sakura and Hinata too would be joining. He remembered them telling him that they would, but he wasn't sure after the incident involving IWA shinobis. He wanted them to join so he would at least know someone in the classroom. Minato felt his son's hand shake slightly and knew what he was feeling. The nervousness of being able to make friends. He chuckled as he too had similar thoughts on his first day. He knelt and turned Naruto so they would be facing each other. He looked him in the eyes warmly and said, "It's going to be okay, Naru. It's your first day in the academy, and it is okay to be nervous. Trust me, even I was." Naruto chuckled as he heard his father's words. "What's so funny, huh?" Minato asked as he eyed him. "Nothing. It's just hard to find you nervous about anything. You are so brave and confident all the time," Naruto replied innocently. "You have no idea how many times I have been nervous in my life, Naru. Now come on, get going. You don't want to be late on your first day now, do you?" Minato said as he let out a small laugh, seeing Naruto's slight panicked reaction. Naruto nodded and quickly ran off inside the academy building as he waved goodbye to his father. Minato smiled as he watched his son go off inside the building. If only you could see him now, Kushina. Our son has grown so much, Minato thought. He waited outside the building for a few more minutes and then disappeared to the Hokage's office using the Hiraition seal placed on the desk. As Naruto knocked and walked into the room he was assigned, he found a man who he guessed was his teacher to be standing near his desk and many students sitting on his right side staring at him. The classroom was large and had high ceilings. It even had a blackboard facing opposite to the student's desk and a podium in front of it. The podium was situated in a position such that the teacher could view everyone in the class at once. Naruto's sharp eyes scanned the students quickly and found Sakura to be sitting on the second row and Hinata to be sitting in the last one. He smiled inwardly. "Who might you be?" asked the man. "I'm Naruto Namikaze. I'm also a student who entered the academy this year," Naruto said politely. The man stared at the boy impassively for a few seconds, but smiled the very next. Naruto could hear many of the students whispering in their seats about him and the fact that the Hokage's son is going to be studying in their class. "Namikaze. Yandame Hokage's son. I heard he is really strong. He looks so good. His long hair and whisker marks make him look adorable," muttered some of the girls. Naruto didn't know what to think about those, so he waited for the man to say something. "I'm Iruka Umino. I will be your teacher for the next 4 years. You may take any free seat available," Naruto, Iruka said. Iruka was a man of average height and build. He had black hair that he kept in a ponytail and a horizontal scar across his nose. He wore the standard Chunin outfit of Konoha with a blue headband tied around his forehead. He knew about the Kyuubi being sealed into the Hokage's son and despised the fox for killing his parents and in a way, held Naruto responsible for it too. However, his beliefs about the child began to change when he heard about the Hokage's son killing 2 Jounins and saving a civilian girl along with the Hyuga clan heiress. He had decided to keep his views on the boy unbiased until he saw him with his own eyes. Naruto nodded his head as he turned to his right to look for any empty seats. He saw many of the girls looking at him strangely and felt slightly uneasy. He quickly found an empty seat on the far right in the last row and quickly walked up there and took his seat. Looking to his right, Naruto found a strange boy. He had short black hair and black eyes in contrast to his translucent-looking pale skin. His face showed no signs of emotion and he looked to be staring at Iruka blankly. Getting a feel of his chakra, Naruto was shocked, as it felt to be troubled. Deep down within the boy, Naruto felt the boy held a lot of pain. "I'm Naruto," said the blonde as he extended his hand to the boy. The boy in question looked at Naruto for a good while impassively. He was surprised by Naruto's actions and wondered why the Hokage's son would want anything to do with him. However, none of that surprise was displayed on his face. It was as plain as a blank canvas. "Sigh," said the boy as he held Naruto's hand. Naruto smiled faintly at the thought of making new friend. Seeing as everyone had taken their seats, Iruka viewed everyone in his class with a critical eye. This would be first time that so many clan heirs are present in one class. Not to mention the clan heirs of the Uchiha, Hyuga, and Namikaze clans. The 3 most influential clans within Konoha. This will be an interesting class, Iruka thought. "Alright class, as you already know, my name is Iruka Umino. You may call me Iruka-sensei. I will be your teacher for the next 4 years. Another teacher, Mizuki, will also be assisting me with teaching you. Since today's only our first class, we will begin with some history lessons and then move on to taijutsu lessons outside. After that, we will begin with theory on chakra," Iruka announced. So, he began with the history of Konohagakure no Sato, accounting the tales of Shodai Hokage and how the village was formed. Even though Naruto knew this part extremely well, he listened to it intently. Some of the students groaned at the fact of learning history lessons, claiming it to be uncool. Again, Naruto seemed confused at other students' behavior. He had always been taught that history was an important part for any shinobi to know and he loved the subject. It was also a significant task for a shinobi to know the history of any area that they would be traveling to for their missions. After an hour had passed, Naruto looked around the class and found many of the students to be uninterested in what Irika was saying. He saw a boy with pineapple-shaped hair to be sleeping, while another chubby boy was eating a bag of chips without a care in the world. He found the sight to be hilarious and had to hold in his laughter. He looked at Sakura, who was sitting next to a platinum blonde-haired girl. Hinata was sitting next to a boy with a puppy on his head. Judging by her face, Naruto guessed that Hinata, too, knew the topic Irika was talking about currently. His eyes finally landed on Sasuke, who was sitting in the same row as him, a few seats below him. He couldn't see his face, but he was sure he had a little scowl on his face. After the theory about the history of Shodai Hokage had ended, Irika ordered everyone to form a K and follow him outside to the training ground. Naruto was personally excited now, as it was time for the taijutsu exercises and he wanted to see how everyone fared in hand-to-hand combat. He knew he was miles ahead of the students in his class in taijutsu, but that did not mean the others had no knowledge in this art. As everyone assembled outside, Irika called out everyone's name again and Naruto was surprised to find several of the children belonging to major clans in Konoha. He saw a group of few students standing in a group at the side and wondered if they all knew each other before starting at the academy. He looked at Sai, who was standing beside him, and thought of coming with him to talk to others. But looking at his blank expression, he decided not to. He went over to them and said, "Hello, I'm Naruto. I'm Kiba Inuzuka. And this is my Ninkan Akamaru." Kiba said enthusiastically and Akamaru gave a small bark. Kiba had feral-looking features which could be accounted by his messy brown hair, sharp-looking canines and the distinctive red fang markings similar to every Inuzuka clan member on each of his cheek. Shikamaru was lazily looking at the sky when he noticed Naruto looking at him. He found all this introduction stuff to be quite troublesome but knew that he had to do it. Similar to most members of the Nara clan, Shikamaru was born with an exceptional mind. Despite being portrayed as lazy, he noticed and understood things which could often be missed by normal eyes or minds. He had narrow brown eyes and a typical expression which indicated that he was bored. He had shoulder-length black hair, which he kept tied in a ponytail. Shikamaru Nara. It's nice to meet you, Shikamaru said with a yawn, rather lazily. This made Naruto wonder if the boy was interested in anything. I'm Choji Akimichi, Naruto heard the chubby boy say, who was continuously munching on his chips. Like any other Akimichi, Choji had a rotund build and markings on his cheeks in the form of swirls. He had spiky brown hair that sticks upwards. Shino Aburame, said Shino quietly. Sporting the same look as the rest of his clan, Shino wore dark sunglasses and a sea-green jacket with high upturned collar. He was fair-skinned and almost as tall as Naruto, who was the tallest among their class. He had dark, bushy brown hair, however many of his friends wondered what his eyes looked like since he always wore those sunglasses. It's really nice to meet you. I'm just so surprised that there are so many clan heirs in our class, Naruto said, intending the conversation to go ahead. How do you know we are all clan heirs? Shikamaru asked curiously, as they never brought it up. I remember my Tuchan telling me about the class a few days before the academy started. I also read a lot about the history of Konohagakure, in which the prominent clans of this village was a main topic. Like the Nara clan you come from, Shikamaru, it's known for producing geniuses, and the most well-known in your clan being your father, Shikaku Nara, the current Jonin commander. Then Choji's clan is well known for their immense physical strength with their expansion jutsu and in their business for owning a few restaurants in Konoha. Kiba belongs to the Inuzuka clan, known for their tracking ability and amazing taijutsu skills. They are also known for their partnership with their dogs, similar to the Aburame clan with their bugs, who specialize in utilizing bugs in almost all of their jutsu. The Aburames are known to be logical people and are good in formulating plans. At the end of Naruto's explanations, all the four people were staring at Naruto with stupefied expressions. However, they were also glad in respect to how Naruto had described their clans. Choji was happy that Naruto didn't talk about his size or weight. Kiba was glad that Naruto was aware of how great the Inuzukas were, and Shino gave a quiet nod of agreement. While Naruto was talking to Kiba, Choji, and Shino about how they knew each other, what sort of training they did, Shikamaru keenly observed the young Namikes. Based on what he had seen of Naruto today and what he had heard of him in the past, he found him to be an enigma. He had heard his mother talk to other people about how the Hokage's son had killed 2 Jounin-level shinobi and rescued the Hyuga clan heiress and a civilian. It was hard for him to believe it at that time, but looking at the way Naruto held himself and always remained aware of his surroundings, he could see the truth in it. Everyone, listen carefully. Iruka called, gaining the students' attention. I will call out 2 students' names, and they will have a taijutsu match for 2 minutes to let me observe where everyone stands. Iruka said. Akane N. Iruka started. 2 years and 2 months later. It had been a little over 2 years since Naruto had started his new life. The life of meeting new friends, befriending them, doing what children his age is supposed to do, and beginning his journey to become an actual shinobi for the Konoha village. In the past few years, Naruto had become good friends with Shikamaru, Choji, Kiba, and Shino. Kiba talked the most in the group, and Naruto found him to be a fun person to hang out with. Shikamaru and Choji were mostly seen together, and Naruto also tried out Shikamaru's ritualistic habit of watching clouds, which he found to be quite relaxing. Even though Shino did not speak much, Naruto always found a way to involve the quiet boy in group talks, and he had come to like the bug user. All in all, Naruto got along with these 4 boys the most. He also met Ino Yamanaka, clan heiress of the Yamanaka clan, who was childhood friends with Shikamaru and Choji. He found her to be a bit weird, as she would often look for different excuses to talk to Sasuke. And being the oblivious girl that she was, like many other girls in the class, she found Sasuke's uncaring attitude to be cool and mysterious. Naruto, Hinata, and Sakura had gotten closer to each other in the past year. They often met outside of the academy and trained with each other, along with studying and doing their homework together. They had spoken about how their life had changed and how their beliefs about the shinobi world altered after that incident, and there were times when both Naruto and Hinata had to console Sakura, as she still had terrifying nightmares of that night at times. Naruto and Hinata especially had gotten to know each other a lot better. Ever since the incident with the IWA shinobi, the Hyuga clan had come to respect Naruto immensely. Both Minato and Naruto had been invited for dinner to the Hyuga's main house on several occasions. During class, Naruto mostly sat with his 2 best friends, which seemed to draw the glares from several other girls in the class, much to Naruto's confusion. Despite their close relationship with one another, Sakura had this uncomfortable feeling whenever she saw Naruto and Hinata so close. She didn't know what it was and didn't want to find out at the prospect of it hurting her or making her lose her friendship with Naruto and Hinata. When Naruto talked to his father about a few girls staring at him strangely, Minato laughed and ruffled his son's hair playfully while saying, "This is not something that even you can avoid, Naru." And true to his father's words, Naruto often sensed many of the girls following him secretly and at times chasing after him openly. Naruto had come across the bane of academy, the fangirls. Scholastically, Naruto's time in the Shinobi Academy was a breeze. He had been ranked as the top student always. Whether be it in written tests, taijutsu, ninjutsu, weapons throwing, or genjutsu. Sasuke, who was ranked second continuously, still seemed to hold a grudge against Naruto for reasons unknown to the blonde. However, not everything was as it seemed. Even though Naruto liked the academy, as it was where he was able to spend more time with his friends, he disliked the academy's training. The things which the students were being taught to be genin would never help them out to survive in the shinobi world. However, the worst part till now which he discovered were the fangirls. Many of the girls in the class were obsessed with boys and believed in mythological tales where they would be saved by their lovers. Meanwhile, there were many civilian boys who considered themselves to be good in everything despite the actuality. He spoke to his father regarding the matter and was told the stress for prospective genin in the academy was reduced mainly since there was a time of temporary peace between the nations earlier. But Minato too had known the curriculum and the academy was not up to the mark. Furthermore, with their relations with Iwagakure completely cut off, there was a lot of uncertainty among different villages in the future. Thus, he had decided to implement certain changes from year 3 onwards in the academy. Snapping those thoughts out of his mind, Naruto got out of his clothes and went to washroom to get a bath. He came out about a minute later and looked at himself in the mirror. His eyes morphed into blood-red eyes, portraying the 3 tomos in it, and soon enough, his eyes turned back to their original violet color. Today marked the last class of the second year in the academy and held a written test and a taijutsu match between students as an examination. Naruto was so engrossed in thoughts about how the last year passed so quickly that he realized he was going to be late for the exam. He quickly put on his clothes and sunshined in front of the academy. He went towards his class and knocked on the door. "Come in," Iruka said from inside the class. Naruto entered the class and saw his teacher staring at him intently. At first, he was indifferent towards Naruto, but after time, he came to see Naruto as more than just the Kyuubi. After watching Naruto interact with his friends in the class and talking to him, Iruka found him to be a very kind-hearted boy who loved his friends. After that, he opened up to Naruto and now they were good friends or siblings if one could say. "Naruto, why are you 15 minutes late for class?" questioned Iruka sternly. Even though he considered Naruto to be someone special to himself, he never showed any favoritism to any one student. "Sorry Iruka-sensei, I was training last night till late and woke up late today due to that." "It won't happen again," Naruto answered honestly. Iruka sighed and told him to take his seat. Nodding his head, Naruto found an empty seat between Hinata and Kiba. "Morning, Naruto-kun." Hinata greeted Naruto with a smile. Naruto smiled as he inhaled the smell of lavender from her. He knew Hinata usually sat with her mother in her garden and picked flowers at times. And he loved that smell. "Morning, Hinata-chan," Naruto said as he smiled back. Looking at Kiba, who was sleeping soundly beside him, Naruto smirked. Discreetly making a single hand seal, a small amount of water condensed in the palm of his other hand. Making sure no one saw him other than Hinata, he splashed it on Kiba's face. Kiba woke up with a shriek and looked around frantically. "Good, you're finally awake, Kiba," Naruto said as he laughed. Hinata giggled softly, seeing Kiba's confused voice. "What the hell, Naruto, why did you do that?" Kiba asked in a sleepy voice. "We have an exam today, Kiba. If I hadn't woken you up, you would have slept through it," Naruto replied as he laughed. Kiba and Naruto intently stared at each other for a few seconds and suddenly started laughing at the situation. "Kiba, Naruto. I told you so many times to keep your voices down," Iruka yelled using his patented big head jutsu. Both the boys immediately shut up upon hearing Iruka's voice and sat down without muttering another single word. During all this commotion, Shikamaru, who was sleeping with his head rested on his hands, woke up and looked around in confusion. Unfortunately, Iruka looked at Shikamaru at the same time and a tick mark formed on the academy teacher's face. "Shikamaru, are you going to sleep through the exam too?" Iruka asked, slightly annoyed. "Troublesome, I was not sleeping, Iruka-sensei," said Shikamaru but yawned immediately after saying that. The class laughed at Shikamaru's reaction and Iruka sighed, looking at his class. Naruto looked around the classroom in amusement and could feel how eased everyone felt. These were the moments he enjoyed, the moments he cherished with his friends. To see them all happy and relaxed. This is what kept his mind away from the deed he had done a few years back. The only people in the room who were not interested in the current situation were Sasuke and Sai. Naruto had tried to talk to Sasuke in the past, but the black-haired boy wasn't interested. He considered himself greater than the others because he considered himself a true Uchiha and looked down on everyone else. The way Sasuke acted, it gave others the impression that he was only ever interested in gaining more power and would do it through any means necessary. Oh, the irony about considering himself a true Uchiha, Naruto thought on several occasions. After a long and tiresome speech from Iruka, the exam had started. Iruka and his assistant Mizuki began handing out the written exams. Mizuki was a man of average height and build, similar to Iruka. He had white, neck-length hair and wore the standard outfit of Konoha. He wore a blue-colored headband and wore his forehead protector in a bandana style around his head. Naruto had always been able to sense the feeling of hatred coming off Mizuki. He realized it was because of the Kyuubi. Naruto never talked about this to his father or anyone else since he believed it was just due to the Kyuubi. As Mizuki came to Naruto's desk to hand him the paper, he glared at him for a few seconds and proceeded to the next students. Mizuki knew he could not do anything to Naruto. With his father being the Hokage, if he ever got caught, it would be the end for him. Still, it irked him that he could not get his hands on the damned Kyuubi boy. After a simple written exam that Naruto was sure he would ace smoothly, it was time for the practical exam, which consisted of taijutsu spar between two students to show their improvement. As all the students assembled outside, Iruka and Mizuki stepped in front of them. "Alright class, now we are going to have a taijutsu spar between students. The spar will continue until one opponent gives up or is knocked out." "Any questions?" asked Iruka and was glad when everyone understood it. The first few matches were between a bunch of civilian kids and Naruto sighed as he saw their taijutsu abilities. He wondered how they even reached the second year with such poor skills. It was more like street fighting. The fifth match was between Sai and another civilian. The match went on for a few minutes with Sai eventually winning it by managing to knock out his opponent out of the ring. However, there was something which Naruto had noticed every time in Sai's matches. He pretended to lower his skills while fighting at the academy. It was as if he was hiding his true ability. Naruto always felt something strange about the boy, but couldn't ascertain it properly. The next match was between Kiba and Shino. Naruto knew it would be a close match as both were moderately adept in taijutsu. However, he guessed Kiba would come out victorious due to his clan's edge in taijutsu. While the Inuzuka clan focused on taijutsu primarily, the Aburame clan were prone to make use of ninjutsu with the help of their bugs. Naruto's assumptions were proven to be correct as a few minutes into the match, Shino showed signs of fatigue and Kiba slipped into his defense after performing a feint left hook and knocked him out a sharp elbow to his chest. "Alright, next match is between Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka," announced Iruka. After hearing the announcement, Ino seemed confident that she would win it easily. Ino knew that Sakura was mainly book-smart and had good chakra control but lacked severely in taijutsu. Oh, how wrong she would be. "Watch me, Sasuke-kun," Ino squealed as she went inside the ring within which the students are supposed to fight. Naruto looked at Sakura, who seemed to be a bit worried. He walked to her and placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You can do this, Sakura-chan. You have worked hard, I know. I believe in you," Naruto whispered to her calmly. Sakura's eyes widened upon hearing him say those words and her face seemed to gain a bit more confidence. Naruto smiled seeing her face and gave her a thumbs up. As both Sakura and Ino got into the ring, Iruka signaled for the start of the match. Ino rushed towards Sakura blindly and attempted to give a kick to her right rib. Just as she was about to kick her, Sakura rolled to her left, avoiding the kick easily. Ino, whose leg was still in the air, was surprised by Sakura's maneuver and almost lost her balance. Seeing Ino's surprise, Sakura coated her hand with a slight amount of chakra and rushed at Ino with impressive speed for an academy student. She then punched Ino right on her left cheek, which made the platinum blonde-haired girl fall out of the ring. This was the result of hard work which Sakura had put in improving herself in the past 2 years. After being released from school, she often trained with Naruto and Hinata and learned a lot from them. Naruto and Hinata had helped Sakura in improving her chakra control. Sakura, surprisingly, was a natural in controlling her chakra. She had learned the tree walking exercise in a single day and was able to walk up and down the tree with ease now. Even though the water walking exercise took some time for her, she was able to master it eventually. The entire crowd of students were shocked at seeing Sakura win the match with ease. Most of the time Sakura had a taijutsu spar with someone, she lacked confidence and would make a mistake or two. But she showed a flawless performance today. Way to go, Sakura-chan! Naruto cheered. Sakura blushed slightly as she heard Naruto cheer for him, but hit it well. That was great, Sakura, yelled Kiba with Akamaru barking in agreement. Irika smiled at seeing his student improve dramatically and knew who it was that helped her. After Ino had been moved off the field and taken to the side, Irika had resumed the matches. The next match was between Hinata and another civilian girl. Naruto, who was standing next to her, squeezed Hinata's hand in a gentle manner discreetly. The two had a strange relationship. Naruto had developed a strong trust in her. It was strange for him too. From the moment he had seen her, she seemed different to him. She was kind and gentle while speaking, while fierce and beautiful in a spar. They did not speak much, but always knew what the other was thinking. Naruto shared things with her which he never shared with anyone. Not even his own father. Hinata smiled in response and went ahead for her match. The fight was completely one-sided, as Hinata had won the match with a few precise strikes of Juken to the civilian girl's body. The next match between Shikamaru and Choji was quite amusing for everyone. As soon as the two entered the ring, Shikamaru gave up after not moving for a couple of minutes, saying it was too troublesome to fight his best friend. Both were given a lecture by Irika which went on for minutes and many students snickered, watching the two. Today's last match will be between Naruto Namikaze and Sasuke Uchiha, said Irika. Almost everyone knew how the match would span out. Despite that, several of the girls, who believed themselves to be in love with Sasuke, cheered loudly for him. "Oi Naruto, beat that team's ass," said Kiba. "Good luck, Naruto-kun," Hinata said softly as she looked at him. She knew he would win. He always wins. To her, he was invincible. She knew how strong he was, she was aware of his darkest thoughts, secrets which children their age were not aware of, and she was glad he trusted her enough to share so much about him to her. In the past 2 years, the two had found several uncanny similarities with each other. The two often spent time together after training or studying with Sakura, which normally consisted of either sitting under a tree quietly or Naruto taking her to sit on the edge of Naka River. Unknowingly, they both enjoyed each other's presence. Shikamaru and Shino just nodded their heads, showing their support for Naruto. Both were smarter than most of the students in class and were aware Naruto was much more powerful than he let on in the academy. Naruto and Sasuke stood in front of each other waiting for Irika to signal the start of the match. Naruto seemed to be perfectly calm and relaxed, while Sasuke seemed confident in himself. In the past 2 years, Sasuke had trained himself to the ground in many aspects of the shinobi arts: taijutsu, ninjutsu, shurikenjutsu, and genjutsu. He was even able to unlock his Sharingan and had progressed it to the 2nd level. He believed he could beat Naruto with the amount of work he had done. Irika gave the signal to start the match, but none of them moved from their positions. While Sasuke got into the stance of the Uchiha Interceptor Fist and activated his Sharingan, Naruto showed no signs of being surprised or intimidated. Meanwhile, several students in the arena gasped seeing Sasuke's Tsutomu Sharingan. Naruto showed no reaction to any of the whispers in the crowd or the fact that Sasuke was currently glaring at him. His Tuchan, Jiraiya Aji-chan and Kakashi had taught him that the best way to win a fight is to make sure you remain completely focused on your opponent and keep your emotions in check. Naruto already knew about Sasuke's Sharingan from Itachi during one of their training sessions. He knew Sasuke was strong now, but his arrogance was his weakest point, and that is just what he planned on exploiting. A few more minutes had passed and the two had yet to move. "What's wrong, Dobe? Afraid to lose in front of your loser friends?" You should stop hanging out with such people. You don't deserve to be an Uchiha, mocked Sasuke in hopes of getting a reaction from the blonde. Naruto's eyes hardened on hearing Sasuke berate his friends. If there was one thing which Naruto valued most, it was his friends. He could tolerate Sasuke's arrogant behavior, but putting down his friends was not something he could tolerate. You shouldn't have said that, Sasuke, thought Naruto. Before anyone could blink, Naruto disappeared from everyone's sight. Sasuke's eyes widened and he frantically looked around for him. However, the next thing Sasuke knew, he was elbowed on his left shoulder, which made him fall on the ground harshly. As he fell on the ground, he clutched his shoulder as the pain became too much for him. Naruto then picked him up by the collar and then punched him with good amount of strength. Enough to dislocate his jaw. Almost everyone watching the fight were stunned on seeing this side of Naruto. They had never seen the blonde defeat someone with this much cruelty. Naruto, what do you think you are doing? Stop cheating, yelled Ino. Everyone else just wondered what was wrong in that brain of hers. Shut up, Naruto said coldly as he turned to face Ino. Gone were the warm violet eyes and in its place were the blood-red Sharingan with 3 tomos. Ino immediately shut up hearing Naruto's tone, which sent shivers down her spine. Naruto wasn't even leaking killing intent. But just one look in his eyes made her freeze in her spot. Hinata, who was quietly standing on the side, looked sadly at Naruto. She knew how close he considered his friends to be and the look in his eyes reflected that. Even if others couldn't read him properly, she understood him. Don't ignore me, damn it, yelled Sasuke as he got up weakly. He ran towards Naruto, ignoring the overwhelming pain in shoulder and jaw. Naruto swatted away his attempt at a weak punch easily and gave him a right hook to his jaw, which again sent him skidding a few feet back. Is that all? Asked Naruto, angry. Sasuke got up again on shaky legs and stared at the blonde furiously, all the while having a singular thought. Why am I so weak? All this anger, it's not good for you, Sasuke. You consider yourself above others just because you are an Uchiha. You have no idea of my true abilities. You don't know the meaning of true strength, and if you don't change your way of thinking, you will never become strong, said Naruto darkly. Okay. That's enough. The match is over, shouted Iruka, seeing that the situation was getting out of hand. Even he was shocked by seeing this side of Naruto. But he reminded himself that Naruto was a kind and loving child. Enraged by what Naruto had said, Sasuke mustered all his strength to get up and ran at Naruto again. However, before he could even reach him, Naruto looked into Sasuke's eyes with his Sharingan spinning and almost immediately, Sasuke fell on the ground with a thud. Naruto remained in his position as he looked at his brethren with a sad expression. As Iruka came and picked up Sasuke, he heard Naruto apologizing to him. Looking into Naruto's eyes, Iruka knew it was the same kind-hearted blonde boy he knew. He dismissed the class for today as all the tests were done. Everyone saw Naruto storm out of the training grounds. Shikamaru, Kiba, Choji, Shino and Sakura were about to follow Naruto, when Hinata stepped in front of them. Is it okay if I go talk to him first? I have a feeling he will listen to me, Hinata said kindly. Almost everyone in the group nodded, understanding that Hinata and Naruto were close to each other. As Hinata walked out to look for Naruto, Sakura somberly looked at her retreating figure, wishing if it could have been her in Hinata's place. Naruto immediately walked out of the academy, so that he could spend some time alone after his outburst. This was something which happened with Naruto quite often. He had realized he had a lot of darkness in him. Kurama had told him about it. He considered the fox to be his best friend among everyone else, because there was absolutely nothing the two did not know about each other. He still remembered Kurama's words. The greater your love becomes, the stronger will be your hatred. You must control your hatred, Naruto. He walked a few distances away from the academy when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He already knew who it was. He knew her chakra signature perfectly. He turned around and did the only thing he could at this moment. He hugged her tightly. The soft and gentle touch of her hand. That was all he could feel as he hugged her. As he rested his head on her shoulder, his eyes closed, all he could feel was the gentle strokes of her hand on his hair. He didn't know how long had passed since they were standing in this position. But it did not matter to either one of them. Naruto liked this comforting feeling and Hinata liked being near him. She felt him shake lightly and held on to him more firmly. She may not know what exactly was going through Naruto's mind, but she understood him whenever she looked into his eyes. His unspoken need to have someone close to him when he's feeling down. A few seconds passed and Naruto lifted his head and gazed into her eyes. Those white eyes which he always found to be enchanting. He could see the warmth and care in them. The understanding which her eyes held. It made him feel calm. It made him nostalgic about the time when he shared his darkest secret with her and she still accepted him. Flashback 2 years ago. The late evening was beautiful with its borderless flow clarity. The vast, seemingly empty sky stretched out far and wide. It had a multitudinous amount of flat clouds that were spread out to the horizon, waiting to shower the earth. A pair of violet eyes were intently watching the darkened hue of the sky as the sun settled. Several thoughts were flowing through his head as his eyes searched for answers beyond the horizon. Why do shinobi kill each other? What feeling do people obtain in revenge? It was a simple, yet intricate, notion in Naruto's mind. He understood that shinobi kill to protect someone close to them. But he often wondered, was killing the only answer? Was peace such a materialistic and hollow term that people abandon the very idea of it for their own desires? He felt Hinata's presence as she walked towards him but did not bother to move from his place. They were in a training ground beside the Hokage monument. It had been a few days ever since Naruto, Hinata and Sakura had started training together and had decided to meet few days a week so that they could train and study together regularly. Sakura had left a few minutes earlier since it was getting late, leaving Naruto and Hinata alone in the training ground. Hinata silently observed Naruto as he stared up at the sky. He intrigued her greatly. The night they were attacked by the IWA shinobi, she was astounded by the potency of chakra she felt from him. She had never felt anything like that before. She was sure the entire village had felt it. The look she saw in his eyes that night, she knew she would never forget it. She never really found the right way to describe it, but there was a sense of looming darkness in him that she felt. Despite that, he was probably the kindest person she knew. Whenever she thought she had him figured out, she would find out something new that would baffle her. Naruto Namikaze was an enigma she wanted to solve. She sat beside him and turned her eyes towards the sky. She presumed it would rain, looking at the clouds. The two sat in comfortable silence for a while as a light breeze began to blow over the area. "What is your dream, Hinata-chan?" Naruto asked. Startled by the sudden question, Hinata looked at the blonde curiously. "Dream? I never really thought about it till now," Hinata replied. As she reflected over the question, images of her parents, her baby sister, Hanabi, and that of her friend Sakura, and even Naruto came to mind. To always see them smiling and safe. She averted her eyes from him with a small blush, wondering when she had started to consider him to be so close to her. "I guess to always see my family and friends smiling. I never want to lose them," Hinata said in a whisper. Again, Naruto couldn't help but be awestruck by how innocent she looked right now. The dream of a naive girl who believed there would be peace someday, that the senseless killing would stop just because a few wish it. This shinobi world we live in has no order in it. If it continues to go forward the way it is, there would be nothing but death. There is so much hatred in this world. It's not easy to let go of that hatred, Naruto muttered as he continued to stare at the sky. Naruto, Kurama thought, wary of Naruto's words. Even though it was said in a very low voice, Hinata had heard each word. She stared at Naruto in disbelief. She did not know what made him think like that, and it scared her slightly. But looking at the sad expression on his face made her wonder what he had gone through to make him think this way. She knew Naruto was not well liked in the village. In their earlier years, she had heard many times some civilians call him by names which no child should ever be called. It made her wonder, was it because of his lineage? No, it couldn't be. The yondaime was loved by everyone in the village. Then, why Naruto? Was it because of the endless amount of malicious chakra she often saw in him? The chakra that was different than his own? Why do you say that, Naruto-kun? Asked Hinata, moving from her place and sitting right in front of the blonde. Naruto stumbled a bit back as he was surprised by how close they were sitting so suddenly. As it started to drizzle, some of the raindrops fell on Naruto, making a few locks of his hair stick to his face. Hinata slowly moved closer to him and moved his hair so that she could see his face. You can tell me, Naruto-kun. You can trust me, Hinata said gently. The look in her eyes. He had never seen it before. The warmth and calmness she was radiating, it was comforting and mesmerizing, Naruto thought. He could feel how concerned she was. For the first time in his life, Naruto was confused about what he should do. Well, I don't know, Naruto whispered. As he averted his eyes from her, the very next second he felt a soft hand on his cheek and found Hinata staring at him with such affection. You know, my Kasan always tells me to understand people when they are in trouble. Once you understand them, it becomes easier to get to know them. I want to know you better, Naruto-kun. I know you are different from other people, Hinata said affectionately. Naruto stared at her, hypnotized by her words. He never had a mother, so he never had someone talk to him with such gentleness. His father tried to fill the role of his mother in his early childhood, but Naruto understood it pained Minato too as well sometimes. He felt the love his father had for his mother. It was the most beautiful emotion he had ever felt from anyone. Despite the loss Minato suffered, he always did his best to make sure Naruto grew up not feeling alone. Naruto didn't know what compelled him to do it. Maybe it was the look in her eyes? The gentleness with which she spoke. Taking a leap of faith, Naruto gazed into her eyes. Hinata was surprised when Naruto's eyes morphed into the Sharingan and started spinning slowly. She felt hypnotized looking into those eyes, and the very next moment, she found herself standing in a gigantic hall. Turning around, she found Naruto standing with an unsure expression on his face. Looking behind him, she noticed a large golden gate with a paper stuck to it in the center. She could feel the oppressing chakra that was behind the cage and she took a step back in slight fear. Where are we, Naruto-kun? Hinata questioned. Do you really want to know about me, Hinata-chan? Naruto asked warily. Hinata sensed the uncertainty in his voice and moved closer to him. Hi. You don't have to bear everything alone. That night when you saved me, I saw it in your eyes. How scared you were to lose us. I saw how strong you are. I saw how kind you are. She replied. We are in my mindscape. This is my subconscious. I will show you the truth, if that is what you desire, Naruto said. Hinata saw him turn around and walk towards the large gate. She wanted to stop him, but her intuition told her to trust him. You can show yourself, Kurama, she heard him say. She was confused for a second as to who he was talking to. However, her eyes widened on seeing a large creature, easily the size of the Hokage monument, appear out of the darkness. She stared in disbelief as the 9 tails behind the creature swished around lazily. The red slit eyes stared at her intently. Naruto-kun, Hinata stammered. Naruto looked at her sadly as she again took a few steps back in fear. This is my truth, Hinata-chan. The 9-tailed fox that attacked Konoha 8 years ago was never killed. Bijou can never be killed by any mortal. They can only be sealed into human beings. The Sandaime Hokage sealed only half of the Kyuubi in me due his immense amount of chakra and sealed the other half in himself. People like me who have Bijou sealed within them are called Jinchuriki, human sacrifices. Naruto said slowly. He felt the storm of emotions that were rising in Hinata's heart. He expected her to call him a demon like the rest of the villagers and never look at him the same. A lone tear dropped from his eyes as he turned around and walked towards Kurama. They were both considered demons, monsters by the entire village. Yet, the fox was the only one who understood Naruto completely. However, after he took a few steps, he felt two soft hands envelop him in a gentle hug. Is that why everyone calls you a demon, a monster, and look at you differently, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked in between tears. She felt him nod his head slightly and hugged him more tightly. She moved around him so she could look at his face. She gently wiped away the tears that were flowing from his eyes and laid a soft kiss on his forehead. You can always trust me, Naruto-kun. I will be always there for you, no matter what happens. At that moment, Naruto felt like a huge weight had been lifted off his heart. For the first time, he had trusted someone with everything, and for the first time he had seen the look of complete understanding in someone's eyes other than Kurama. You're not alone anymore, Naruto. Kurama thought. Flashback end. Thank you. Naruto muttered. Are you feeling better? Hinata asked. She was aware that Naruto never took it lightly when someone belittled or mocked his friends. He had very few friends to begin with. He cherished the moments he spent with them, and she worried about him whenever she saw the look of darkness in his eyes. She was not naive as many thought her to be, or even Naruto thought her to be at times. She knew when he hid things from her, but she never confronted him openly about it. She understood he would tell her eventually. Hi. I feel better. Naruto said. I just need to be alone for a while now. Naruto said as he got out of Hinata's embrace and walked in the opposite direction. A lie. She knew the moment he spoke those words. But she still stood in her place with that innocent little smile on her face. A smile which always made Naruto's day. However, when Naruto took a few steps away from her, the next words he heard made him freeze for a moment. I understand, Naruto-kun. Remember, you don't have to hide it from me. I will be there when you need me. Hinata said softly. Naruto kept walking in the opposite direction, knowing full what Hinata meant. It broke his heart to hide things from her. But it had to be done. He couldn't let her get caught up in his darkness. Her soul was pure, gentle, and as innocent as that of a newborn. He would keep her safe, even if he had to fall into the darkness. As he shined away, Hinata's heart fluttered, hearing his last words. Thank you for always being there. Heim. A few blocks away from the Konoha Academy. You shouldn't hide your feelings from her, Naruto. Kurama said. I don't know Kurama. I just want her to stay safe. Naruto replied to his friend. You care for her, idiot. That is why I must do what is necessary to keep her safe, even from me. Naruto said sadly. He had shined a few blocks away, so he could search for him. He was the only one right now the blonde wished to talk to. Somehow, he always knew what to tell Naruto in situations like this. I'm sorry, Kurama. I will make it up to her. But, I need to talk to Itachi now. Naruto thought as he closed his eyes to extend his sensory abilities to search for Itachi's chakra signature. A few seconds passed and he was able to locate him in the old clan Uchiha clan compound near the Naka River. He was confused as to why he was there, since none of the Uchihas ever went there nowadays. He also found Shisui there with Itachi. He smiled inwardly at the prospect of seeing Shisui again. It had been ages since he had met with him. Without waiting for another second, Naruto disappeared to meet with his brother-like figures with a Shunshin within the forests of Old Uchiha Compound. Over the course of years, Naruto perfected his Shunshin to such a degree that no one could sense the slightest use of chakra when Naruto performed it. So, when he appeared on a tree a few distances away from the place where Itachi and Shisui stood, none of them were aware of Naruto's presence. Naruto moved to go talk to them immediately, but looking at the serious expressions on their faces, he stood his ground. Wanting to know what they were talking about, he sent a minuscule amount of chakra to his ears to expand his hearing range. The last few clan meetings have been troubling, Itachi, Shisui stated. I know. There's little even Hokage-sama could do now to persuade Toussaint from stepping down. The villagers and higher-ups have been suspecting the Uchiha clan for years now. Itachi said. You know what will happen if the clan goes ahead with the coup? There will be a civil war in Konoha. Itachi finished. He knew of the conclusion very well. He had seen the result of the Third Shinobi War and the memory was still etched into his mind. Countless numbers of people lying dead on the ground with kunai lodged into several parts of their bodies. The earth around them shattered and destroyed with blood spilled everywhere. It was gruesome and inhumane. If a civil war breaks out in Konoha right now, it could mean an end to our village. During my missions with Root outside the village and from Danzo, I have heard some troubling news about Kumogakure and Iwagakure meeting with each other over a temporary alliance. If the two nations decide to attack us during the civil war, Konoha is as good as finished. Shisui said dreadfully. Itachi stared at Shisui with an impassive face, but on the inside, he was worried too. He was a loyal Konoha shinobi, who only dreamed for the welfare of Konohagakure no Sato. And knowing that his village was headed towards mindless destruction troubled his heart greatly. He knew for a fact that the Uchiha clan could never successfully finish the coup once they started. Not with people like the Yondaime and Jiraiya still loyal to the village. He was aware that if the Uchiha clan went ahead with the coup, the Yondaime and Jiraiya would annihilate the entire clan, albeit regrettably. He didn't even want to think about what Naruto would do if anything ever happened to Minato or Jiraiya. He knew of the boy's prowess. It was terrifying, even to him. But what after that? What would happen if Iwa and Kumo actually attacked right after Konoha dealt with the Uchiha clan? From what he personally knew of Minato, the man would never give out the exact reasons of the Uchiha clan for their actions. However, that is where the problem would arise. It would cause a lot tension among the other clans in Konoha. The fact that the Hokage and the higher authorities killed an entire clan because of a disagreement would make the other clans wary. It would cause distrust between the clans and the Hokage, and afterward they may even lose their faith in the Fire Daimyo. If the other nations did not end up destroying Konoha, the uprising brought by the Uchiha clan will certainly make the village crumble in the long run. What do you propose we should do? Itachi questioned. Naruto, who was standing on a tree branch, stared with wide-eyed at the two people whom he considered his brothers. His heart broke with each passing second as he heard his own clan was planning to take over the village. Yet at the same time, he was angry at the village. He had seen how some of the villagers kept their distance from the Uchiha clan members, but he never understood it why. He wondered what Shisui meant by his missions with Root, as he had never heard of it before or of any person by the name of Danzo. There were a multitude of questions going through Naruto's mind and no definitive answers to them. What were the Uchiha clan being suspected of? He knew Itachi was an ANBU captain now, but who did Shisui work for? Who was Danzo? How does Shisui know about Kumogakure and Iwagakure meeting with each other? Does his father know about this? Were the Uchiha willing to go as far as to destroy the whole village for their own gain? However, one fact he concluded was the imminent destruction of Konoha if the Uchiha clan went ahead with the coup, or if Iwagakure and Kumogakure decided to attack Konoha when their defenses were down. His mind instantly thought of his father, Hisaji-chan, Hinata, Itachi, Shisui, Kakashi and his friends, and the imminent danger they might be placed in, and his heart had a morbid feeling. He, himself, didn't know what he would do if anything ever happened to those he loved. He certainly did not want to see his village destroyed, but he cared for those people more than the village. The only way Naruto knew he would get some answers was to confront Itachi and Shisui. With that in mind, he jumped down from the tree branch and landed softly on the ground beneath, making the leaves rustle. Itachi and Shisui immediately turned their heads in the direction of the sound. They stood frozen in place as Naruto walked towards them with a grim expression on his face. They realized he must have heard the entire conversation, and judging from Naruto's expression he was more shocked than worried. Itachi, being more controlled of his emotions than Shisui, stepped forward towards the blonde who was standing in front of them now. "Naruto-kun. What brings you here?" "I know about the coup," Naruto answered. "I know that you do now," Itachi said. He was surprised as well as worried to see Naruto here now, since he had thought he would be in class. It had been a few months since he had met Naruto, but he never wanted to meet his gaze under such circumstances. "Why? Why Itachi?" Naruto asked under his breath. Instead of answering, Itachi simply stared at the young boy. Some might say Itachi was staring at Naruto with no emotion whatsoever, but Naruto could see the sadness in those black eyes. Itachi knew how much Naruto had suffered in his short life. He didn't want Naruto knowing his own family was betraying something that he loved dearly. Naruto looked at Shisui hoping that he would say something, but all he saw was the downcast look on his face. He clenched his fists tightly as seconds passed. "Tell me why," Naruto yelled as he glared at the two with his Sharingan. "It's not so easy to explain, Naruto," Shisui answered calmly as he stepped forward. He knew he had to phrase his answer carefully. He was meeting the blonde again after a few years. His time en route did not allow him to spend that much time with his family or in the village. He knew he wasn't the same person who Naruto knew a couple years back. All those missions he did for Root, all the innocent people he had to kill on Danzo's orders took away a part of him. But there were still moments in his past that kept him sane. His time with Itachi and Naruto being the most important. "Try me," Naruto demanded. Shisui closed his eyes briefly as he sighed. It all started after the Kyuubi attack 10 years ago. There were rumors being spread that it was the Uchiha clan who were behind the attack that night because of the Sharingan. The civilian council and the elders of the village protested that the Uchiha clan be relocated to keep better eye on them. But Hokage-sama had put a stop to any accusations against our clan. But that did not stop the villagers from being wary of our clan. As the years passed, all seemed fine from the outside, but one of the elders, Danzo, still considered the Uchiha clan to be a threat to the village. Without the Hokage's knowledge, he got a direct order from the fire daimyo himself to relocate the Uchiha clan, which your father couldn't ignore. So, in the end, he had to. The Uchiha clan felt that their position within the village was being threatened. They weren't included in the meetings also as much. Shisui explained. "So, they want to start a coup in Konoha to assert their dominance?" Naruto asked. He was surprised as to how much he did not know about what was going on in the village. All this time, he only thought of his pain, of the darkness that keeps growing within him day by day, that he never thought much about the suffering that other people go through. "Hi," Itachi answered. He saw the sorrowful look on Naruto's face and he couldn't help but frown at the current shinobi system. The wall that has been erected between different villages and even within a village makes peace only an abstract idea. But it wasn't the Uchiha clan's fault. The Uchiha clan could speak to Tuchan about this matter and settle things peacefully. Naruto stated. "It's not easy to change the opinion of the people, Naruto. People live their lives bound by what they accept as correct and true. That's how they define reality. No one really knows what it means to be true or correct, they are mainly vague concepts. Different people fight for different reasons and have their own versions of reality and perceive the meaning of correct or true differently. One man's reality may as well be an illusion to another. My father believes that the Uchiha clan have been wronged and this coup is his reality where his actions are correct or true. Itachi said. Naruto stared at Itachi, contemplating the meaning behind his words. His words were profound and Naruto could sense the meaning behind those words as he could relate to it himself. His whole life he had been hated by the villagers, and after a single incident which involved in him saving a clan member made him get into people's good books. It showed how fickle reality was in people's eyes. His eyes morphed back to his original violet color as he understood the situation behind the Uchiha clan's actions. You have to talk to Tuchan about this. He can probably find a way around it, to avoid further bloodshed. Naruto requested. Itachi and Shisui exchanged a look between themselves and nodded, much to Naruto's confusion. We were planning to Naruto-kun. Itachi said. Also, not many people outside of the clan know about this Naruto. So, we would like you to come with us to Hokage-sama when we talk to him. I trust you, Naruto, but it's just to make sure no one else knows about it. Shisui said seriously. You should go home now, Naruto-kun. We'll meet you tomorrow at your house at noon. Itachi said. Naruto nodded his head as he was about to walk away. And Naruto, congratulations on passing your test today. I'm sure you did better than everyone else. Shisui said with a smile. You know it, Nii-san. Naruto said as he disappeared in a shunshin to his home. Are you sure about this, Shisui? Itachi asked again. The coup places the Hokage's life in danger. We were tasked to get close to him, so we could assassinate him, Itachi. We are Konoha shinobi and our loyalty lies with the Hokage. We must do what is necessary to keep the peace in our village, even if it means betraying our clan. We have to protect the future. Shisui said honestly. He smiled sadly as he too disappeared from the old Uchiha clan compound. Itachi stood all alone in the forests as he stared at the sky. His eyes landed on a small bird on a tree branch, who looked to be a few days old. It tried to flap its wings to fly but failed every time. He saw the bird's mother try to help her child to fly as he realized something notable. The children, they are the future of this village and must be protected for the village's welfare. Tomorrow noon, Namake's compound. Naruto was standing in the library of the Namake's compound with Itachi and Shisui standing before Minato's desk. Minato sat in his armchair as he looked at the two raven-haired Uchiha. The library had some privacy seals, so Minato knew whatever the three wanted to discuss must be something important. So, what did you call me here for? Minato asked cheerfully. It had been some time since he had seen Naruto, Shisui, and Itachi together. The last time he had seen all three together was probably when Naruto was 5 or 6 years old, he supposed. Hokage-sama, we have some significant news prevailing to the Uchiha clan which we think you should know. Itachi said flatly. Minato's face became serious as soon as he heard Itachi's words. He had noticed how the clan was acting strangely over the past year and it worried him. He knew the villagers' behavior towards the Uchiha clan and it pained him to see them treated that way. But the past few months he had become slightly more suspicious of the Uchiha clan after the elders of that clan came to him demanding to have an extra vote in the Shinobi Council. Of course, Minato had outright denied the demand, but he knew it was just a start. Also, the sudden increase in the Uchiha police force members as well as their increased patrol over the village was questionable too, but Minato did not have any reasons not to deny that request. What is it? Minato asked. This information cannot leave this room, Hokage-sama. The less people know about it, the better. I trust you know who all to discuss this information with to make further plans regarding this. Shisui said. Shisui saw the Hokage looking at Naruto and understood his dilemma. Naruto knows about it. He found us talking about it, accidentally. Shisui said the last part rather sheepishly. Naruto chuckled inwardly, knowing how a 10-year-old got the drop on the Uchiha clan's two best shinobi. There is a coup being planned in order to overthrow you, Itachi said gravely. What? Yelled Minato angrily. That's the truth, Hokage-sama, Itachi said passively. How do you know this, Itachi? Tell me the truth now, ordered Minato, losing all the kindness he had. He loved Itachi and Shisui greatly and knew them well enough to know they wouldn't do anything to betray the village. But still, as Hokage, he would have to get rid of any threat for the village's security. Additionally, with the information that he received from Jiraiya a few weeks back, he knew what he was going to hear wouldn't be anything pretty. Ever since the relocation of the Uchiha clan outside the main premises of the village, my father and the elders have lost their trust in you, Hokage-sama. They believe your leadership to be hindering the advancement of the village. Also, the Uchiha clan, being one of the founding clans of Konohagakure no Sado, believe that they should be treated better than they are being treated now and should have more say in the Shinobi Council. So, to reinstate their position within the village, they want to overthrow you so they could run the village on their own beliefs, Itachi said. That is not all, Hokage-sama, Shisui intervened. Continue, Minato ordered. I believe Danzo to be involved in this coup as well. Danzo? Do you have any hard evidence against him that would be testifiable against him? Minato asked. I have been with Route ANBU for a few years now and I'm a Route ANBU captain currently. I have escorted Danzo to several illegal meetings. He approached me 3 years ago and asked me to join him. He told me his ideals on what he wanted Konoha to be based on. I knew at that moment that Danzo is not what he wants people to believe he is. I am sure you are aware that Root is functional despite Sandaime-sama ordering Danzo to disband it years ago. Danzo receives much of the money for his activities from his business with traders outside of the village, either form the borders of Hai no Kuni near Kusagakure or Yugakure. He is cautious, Hokage-sama. All the meetings and transactions are off the record, so there isn't any proof of him ever indulging himself in such activities, Shisui explained briefly. Minato closed his eyes and rested his chin on his hands to think clearly over the given information. He was shocked on hearing Shisui being part of Root. He knew the type of work that was done in Root and it was hard for him to believe the kid whom he had seen grow up had become skilled enough to be an ANBU captain. He supposed that everyone had to grow up at some point in time, and in the shinobi world, it was better if one grows up fast. He was aware of the Root ANBU still being functional, but he couldn't prove anything without any solid evidence. Danzo seemed to be extremely paranoid about his activities, otherwise he wouldn't be so cautious, which allowed him to survive for so long. But the most shocking news to him was the coup planned by the Uchiha clan. He was surprised. He never got any hint of what was going on behind his back. Was this coup the elders' idea or Fugaku's idea? Minato asked Itachi and Shisui. You're too good a man, Tuchan. You trust too easily. You should have noticed when Fugaku-sama came to visit you more regularly in the past year that something must have been suspicious. He is a shrewd man and was gathering intel on the Namikaze compound so that he could plan a perfect attack on you when you are most vulnerable. Whoever this Danzo is, knows you are not someone to be trifled with directly. The best option for him and the Uchiha clan to overtake the village is to eliminate the Hokage and the Jonin commander strategically. If you want to destroy a nation, you need to destroy its leadership first. It's the most efficient way. As for your question, you should already know the answer to that, Naruto said impassively. Everyone in the room were stunned by the explanation and thinking that Naruto showed. At this moment, he did not look like a 10-year-old, rather a veteran shinobi. Your astuteness terrifies me sometimes, Naruto-kun, Itachi thought. I assume you both were ordered to assassinate me? Minato asked. Hi, answered Itachi and Shisui simultaneously. You should get away from Root, Shisui. I will deal with them. Regarding the Uchiha clan, I will have to speak to Jiraiya and Shikaku further about this, Minato said firmly. I'm afraid that is not possible, Hokage-sama. I know you have the numbers on your side and you alone could do it if they are all gathered in one place, but that is not the case. There are several bases of root operations all over the village. Some of which I don't even know, mostly because Danzo does not trust anyone explicitly. If you act now hastily, it won't be just the Uchiha clan revolting. It will be the full force of Root ANBUs and the Uchiha clan. Also, the Root ANBU agents are far more skilled than our regular shinobi. The best way to currently deal with Danzo is to execute him legally. We will need to know his every strategy and how he is involved with the Uchiha clan in this coup, Shisui confessed. How long will it take for you to gather further knowledge on Danzo's actions? It's a dangerous gamble dealing with Danzo. You know that, Shisui. You have to get out of there soon, Minato requested. Both Minato and Itachi were surprised by the calm look and the small smile Shisui had on his face. Even though Naruto could not see Shisui's face, he felt his emotions. The love he had for the village was beautiful indeed. I know what I was getting myself into when I joined Root, Hokage-sama. I'm a descendant of Kagami Uchiha. Fighting and dying for the village in the shadows, all for the village's safety, runs in my blood. My life is not important right now. I shall get the required intel in the next few days, Shisui said. Minato wanted to argue, but looking at Shisui's face, he understood something. Shisui had accepted his fate and just wanted to see his village safe. Minato, Shisui and Itachi discussed the course of action they could take for the next hour, and eventually the two raven-haired Uchiha left the Namikaze compound to return to their duties. Shisui returned to his Root ANBU base and Itachi left to the Uchiha clan compound. As Shisui and Itachi left the Namikaze compound, a couple of shinobi standing on a tree few distances away from the main walls of the compounds watched the two Uchiha leave and narrowed their eyes ever so slightly. But no emotion was visible on their faces. That's how they had been trained their whole lives. That emotions leads one to make mistakes in the field, and to be an efficient shinobi, one must get rid of them completely. The two shinobis had their chakra completely masked, which made it difficult for even seasoned shinobi to sense their presence if they weren't looking for it specifically. We must inform this to Danzo-sama immediately. Looks like Danzo-sama's suspicions were correct about Shisui acting strangely, said one of them monotonously. 4 days later, Minato had contacted Jiraiya 3 days back and had asked him to come back to Konoha as soon possible through the Toad summons. However, it had been a few days and Minato had received no word from the Sannin. He knew his sensei was behind enemy lines in Kumogakure gathering information about the intel he received a few days back. Even though Minato didn't need any reassurance about Jiraiya's battle prowess, he still worried about his sensei. Since he couldn't discuss the matter with Jiraiya, he had called in Shikaku, the Jounin commander, after his talk with Shisui and Itachi 4 days back to fill him in on the subject. Shikaku had been his good friend since his academy days and knew his son Shikamaru was good friends with Naruto. He trusted Shikaku with the village's most well-kept secrets and knew the man was extremely loyal to Konohagakure no Sato. Shikaku Nara was a Jounin-level shinobi, head of the Nara clan as well as the Jounin commander of Konoha. He was undoubtedly a powerful shinobi whom Minato trusted to be a good Hokage if anything ever happened to him. He was regarded as the sharpest and most intellectual shinobi in the village, and some even regarded him to be on par with the Nidaime Hokage in terms of strategic analysis of a situation. Shikaku had 2 scars on the right side of his face, which were probably his 2 most noticeable features. He had long dark hair tied up in a ponytail, dark eyes, and a goatee. His ears were pierced, which often earned him a wild look. Shikaku mostly wore a meshed shirt underneath his Jounin flak jacket and a deerskin coat over that and handguards. Shikaku, too, had noticed the strange behavior of the Uchiha clan but thought nothing of it at first, as he always found that clan to be strange personally. However, even he was left speechless on hearing about the coup. Based on what Minato had told him, within minutes he had come to the same conclusion as Minato, Itachi, Shisui, and Naruto if the coup took place. He already had a countermeasure formed up, but he wished to talk to Minato with both Itachi and Shisui present since what he had come up with was a drastic measure. Unknown to the others, Danzo had some of his best men follow Shisui around inside the village to keep an eye on him. He had suspected the boy to become a traitor in the long run when he had readily accepted his request to join the route. He was aware of Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan, which Danzo knew was invaluable. Danzo was a strict follower of rules and guidelines, a habit which he had developed when he was under the tutelage of the Nidaime Hokage, Tobirama Senju. His whole life, he had served in protecting the village from the shadows. He was a man of great strategic brilliance who would go to any length to form his utopia where he wished to see Konoha atop every other village. Even if it meant to kill another Konoha shinobi in cold blood. It was late afternoon in Konoha, and inside the library of the Namikaze compound several people could be seen gathered. Minato was sitting in his armchair with Shikaku standing beside him to his right. Itachi and Shisui stood before Minato's desk while Naruto stood to Itachi's right on the side of the room. "What were you able to gather, Shisui?" Minato asked. "As you know, the Uchiha clan's reputation was not that good among the villagers of Konoha. Danzo took advantage of that and formulated this plan with the Uchiha clan taking the blame for the entire coup. He had met with the elders sometime last year and made them an offer of giving them a prime position in most decisions that will be made within the village after he becomes Hokage. However, I believe it was Fugaku-sama's suggestion to launch a coup to overthrow the current Hokage and Jounin commander. Danzo is aware that if anything happens to you and Shikaku-san, it will be either him or Jiraiya-sama as the prime candidates for the Hokage's position. But due to Jiraiya-sama's spy network, which is invaluable to the village, he would have a much better chance at being Hokage. Also, the Fire Daimyo's grandson, Senso, will be mostly colluding with Danzo in directing the Fire Daimyo's decision." Shisui explained. "And how did you come by this information?" Shikaku asked. "Well, I put a genjutsu on Torunaburaime. He is Danzo's right-hand man who oversees all his meetings and has detailed information about some of the important matters pertaining to Danzo. I couldn't hold him for long as Danzo might get suspicious. I have erased his memories of the interrogation ever happening." Shisui replied politely. "I have a plan that could give Konoha an opportunity to get rid of Danzo from the village through which even Lord Senso wouldn't be able to argue a case against him. But I would like to hear if you have anything on your mind, Shisui, Itachi?" Shikaku asked as he folded his arms over his chest. "We discussed it earlier, but I suppose there is a way to defuse the situation without any casualties. My Mangekyo Sharingan has a special attribute allowing me to use an exceptionally powerful mind-controlling genjutsu on people. It's called Kotoamatsukami. The technique allows me to enter the mind of any individual within my field of view and manipulate them by giving them false experiences, making it seem as if they were doing things of their own free will. I could make the elders and Fugaku-sama confess to the planning of this coup with Danzo as their partner. This way, I'm sure we could make up a strong case against Danzo and even the Uchiha clan will be spared of needless killing." Shisui exclaimed. "I'm afraid that won't work completely. It may work out temporarily, but in the long run, we may have another coup before us." Shikaku said curtly with closed eyes as he stroked his goatee. "I can see your reasoning, Shikaku. What do you propose?" Minato asked. "What you are planning to suggest, Shikaku-san, is a violent last measure." Itachi intervened dangerously. He had a vague idea as to what Shikaku was going to propose. Even though he had thought of that, he hoped that he would never have to do it. He understood Minato's and Shikaku's concerns from their point of view. In the coup planned by the Uchiha clan, all the registered shinobi within the clan were involved, including some of the civilians. If the elders and his father were made to come forward and confess to their crimes, it would further deteriorate the Uchiha clan's reputation within the village. In the long run, it could change the mentality of the remaining Uchihas and other children in the clan and cause further damage to the village. It was circumstantial, but its chances of probability were high. Naruto, who was standing quietly, looked between the two shinobi curiously as his mind thought of the different scenarios that could be possible in this situation. His eyes widened as he concluded as to what the two were talking about, and his anger rose simultaneously at the thought of seeing his entire clan dead. No. Butchered. This is my family you're talking about. You can't kill them all. Naruto yelled as his Sharingan glowed bright red and his chakra rose to dangerous levels, forming cracks on the floor. Shikaku was utterly surprised at the amount of hatred he saw in Naruto's eyes. He knew the Uchiha's love for their own was unimaginable, and right now he was witnessing it. The amount of chakra the boy was releasing was easily greater than his own, he summarized. But he met Naruto's gaze without flinching for a second. He knew Minato's kid was strong, but he had never seen him in a battle. He also knew that his plan was the only viable course of action, given the circumstances. With the threat of Iwagakure and possibly Kumogakure lingering on the verge, it was best to get rid of the problem entirely rather than having further loss of military when the coup starts. He knew it wasn't the best decision morally, but strategically, it was the best. That's enough, Naru. Minato stated sternly, releasing large amounts of chakra himself. Itachi, Shisui, and Shikaku found it unbelievable to witness the amount of power these two possessed. It made them wonder how powerful Madara Uchiha was if their descendants seemed to possess godly amounts of chakra. Naruto stared at his father in shock, having already felt his emotions. He couldn't understand what his father was thinking, siding with Shikaku. The Uchiha clan were their family. Families are supposed to protect each other. Take care of each other. That's what his father always told him since his early childhood. He thought of Makoto Obachan, who came to visit him when he was a kid, and a few tears dropped from his eyes at the thought of her being dead. But then, why was his father agreeing with Shikaku? Why would he want to see his own clan dead? He couldn't think of a clear answer, and it was infuriating him. He glared at his father as his chakra levels rose even more and his entire body got covered in violet-colored chakra and the surrounding walls began to crack slowly. I said that's enough, Naruto. Minato yelled as his chakra levels increased even further. Looking at his father's eyes, Naruto realized his father was not going to change his decision and he had no authority to change any decisions made by the Hokage or the Jounin commander. He brought his chakra under control and so did Minato as the pressure within the room dropped. Shikaku, Itachi and Shisui looked around hazily, wondering how the room did not break down with the amount of chakra that was being released. Minato sat down on his armchair and sadly looked at Naruto, who had wiped his tears from his face. This was the first time he had raised his voice against his own son and it hurt him. He understood what Naruto was going through. The loss of the only family he had ever known would be a heavy burden on his own heart too. But right now, he had to be the Hokage. It's never an easy job. Making decisions that would inevitably hurt someone deeply while benefiting someone else. Regrettably, he could see the benefit in following through with Shikaku's plan. If the Uchiha clan were eliminated, the coup would be successfully defused and Danzo's further plans would be greatly hindered. Danzo had bet the progress of a lot of his plans on this coup. If it were to be negated, he would have to come out from the shadows. That would make him flee from the village, considering that the Uchiha clan elders would have some evidence of Danzo's involvement in written documents. And once Danzo was named a missing ninja, eliminating him wouldn't be an issue. Shisui, I believe even Itachi sees the problem in your plan. You can't get rid of the hatred that would develop in the hearts of the rest of the Uchiha clan members. Minato said with a sigh. It wasn't any easier for Shikaku too. Even though he found the clan to be strange at times, he had some friends within the clan who had fought beside him in the Third Shinobi War and gave their all to protect the village. But even he couldn't think of any other option which wouldn't lead to Konoha's destruction. He knew the loss of the Uchiha clan would greatly decrease the number of veteran and experienced shinobi within the village, but this way, the casualties will be much less if the coup took place. Shisui blankly stared at the Hokage, considering his own options. After considering the fault in his plan in the long run as well as the distrust that may happen between the remaining Uchiha and the other clans, he understood their point of view. The distrust may lead to catastrophic results on the battlefield which won't be beneficial for Konoha. He looked at Itachi and saw he had already made peace with the decision. He knew Itachi was the sharper one between them and he must have already thought of this scenario earlier. He closed his eyes and released a deep breath as he made up his mind. We'll execute the mission tomorrow and become missing ninja. That way, we could keep a better eye on the enemies of Konoha and supply you with further intel. Itachi said as he bent on his knee. I'm sorry Itachi, Shisui. Naruto. But sometimes for peace to be maintained, we have to make larger sacrifices. Shikaka said grimly. Both Minato and Shikaka looked at the two boys in front of them sadly, and yet they couldn't be any prouder of the sacrifice they were making. Minato felt a heavy burden on his heart as he nodded. He loved them both dearly and to watch them throw away everything because of the ideals of a single man. He cursed himself for being so naive and not noticing anything earlier. Hokage-sama, I have one request. Itachi said. What is it, Itachi? Minato asked. I will complete the mission, but I will not be able to kill my brother. He has no part in all of this. You must make sure he stays safe, Hokage-sama. That is my only request. Itachi said as he bowed his head. Naruto looked at Itachi with a heartbroken expression. He would be losing two of his brothers tomorrow. He would have to stay in this village and watch others hate the very people who saved them from a civil war. More tears slipped from his eyes as he thought of the kind of life Itachi and Shisui may have to go through to live as missing ninja. To accept hate in place of love. Disgrace in place of honor. A life of misery in place of happiness. It made him wonder if there can ever be true peace in this world. If people can ever trust each other completely or understand each other. It made him lose faith in the shinobi system even more. Father, I will join Itachi and Shisui in killing off the Uchiha clan. I cannot let them bear the burden of it alone. They are sacrificing their entire life for this village. For the people who will be hating them from the day after tomorrow. I want to share their burden. I can't let them do this alone. Naruto said firmly. Everyone in the room looked at Naruto incredulously, wondering what on earth was he thinking. Naruto, you don't have to do this. Shisui whispered. Naru. Minato started. I wasn't asking, father. Itachi and Shisui are like brothers to me. And I will do what is necessary for my family. Naruto stated as he stared into Minato's eyes with his Sharingan. Minato smiled inwardly, seeing the love he had for his family. He wished that things could have been simpler, but unfortunately, they never were. I cannot allow you to leave the village, however. Minato said. Naruto nodded as he folded his arms over his chest and closed his eyes, looking away from Minato. Looking back at Itachi and Shisui, Minato stood up from his chair and walked towards the two raven-haired boys. I give you my word that Sasuke will be safe here. I will look after him personally. You shouldn't worry about him. Minato said gently. Hi, Hokage-sama. Itachi replied. I will make the arrangements for you and Shisui to get away from the village after the mission is completed so you both can get away without the hunter ninjas coming after you for a few days. Minato added. That will be appreciated, Hokage-sama, Itachi said. Meanwhile, Shisui stared at Naruto, who was standing quietly in the corner with his eyes closed. He had no words to say to him. He was immensely proud of him and yet sad that he wanted to join them in the mission. He walked towards the blonde and bent down in front of him, keeping his right hand on his shoulder. Naruto opened his eyes to look into Shirsue's black ones. He saw a wave of emotions going through them. Sadness and gratitude being the major ones. Shirsue's left hand reached to the Chikuto that was hanging to his right side of the waist. He took it out of the scabbard and put it in Naruto's hands. "Keep this, Naruto. It's my last gift to you." "That's what brothers do, eh? Giving their siblings a present?" Shisui said with a sad laugh. Naruto immediately hugged Shisui tightly and whispered, "I swear in Ai-san, I will bring you and Itachi and Ai back one day." Even though he had said it in a whisper, it was heard by everyone in the room. They all smiled sadly, seeing the bond Naruto shared with them. Eventually Itachi and Shisui left the room to prepare for tomorrow night, and Naruto left without sparing another word to his father, who was looking at him intently. "He will understand your decision soon, Minato," Shikaku said slowly as everyone else left the room. "I can only hope he never has to make the same decisions as me." Minato sighed as slumped back into the chair. With Shisui. After leaving the Namake's compound, Shisui decided to go to the Hokage monument for one last view of the village before he had to leave to execute tomorrow's mission. He laughed sadly again, wondering how the situation turned out like this. He thought how Itachi kept his emotions in control so much. He could never do it. Even after spending almost 3 years en route, he couldn't let go of his emotions. But he had made up his mind to complete his duty. He could see the logical reasoning behind Shikaku and Minato's decision. Even though he didn't like it, he understood why it had to be done. As he reached the top of Hokage Mountain, he stepped towards the edge to look at the village. It was evening now, and the sun was just setting. It made the village look so elegant in his mind. A picturesque sight. He closed his eyes and inhaled deeply to remember every detail he could of his village. His sharp senses suddenly kicked in as he jumped away from his position to miss several shurikens and kunais that were thrown. He looked at his assailants and was surprised to find at least a dozen of Root Anbu agents standing before him. He looked around carefully to look for Danzo but did not find him anywhere, and that troubled him. "So, Danzo ordered you to finally take me out," Shisui said as he took out his own kunai.